My name is Madison Hayes, and I'm 32 years old. What happened at my sister's wedding still makes headlines in our business community. Picture this: 200 guests in a grand ballroom, my mother's hand connecting with my face so hard my diamond earring flew across the marble floor. The reason? I refused to hand over the keys to my $2 million penthouse, right there during the reception speeches. But here's what nobody expected. When the CEO of one of the city's largest investment firms walked through those ballroom doors an hour later, my mother's scream could be heard 3 floors up. The man who entered wasn't just any CEO. He controlled 40% of my father's company, and he had something very specific to say about what he'd just witnessed on a live stream. Before we dive into this story, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy stories about standing your ground. Where are you watching from? Drop your location and local time in the comments below. Let me take you back to that morning when I thought I was just attending my little sister's perfect wedding. I arrived at the Grandview Hotel at 8 a.m., 3 hours before the ceremony. The ballroom looked stunning, white roses and gold accents everywhere, exactly what Sophia had dreamed about since we were kids. I'd contributed $50,000 to make this day perfect for her, though nobody would ever mention that. Madison, finally, my mother said, looking me up and down. That dress. Couldn't you have chosen something more feminine? You look like you're heading to a board meeting, not your sister's wedding. I smoothed down my navy silk dress, elegant, appropriate, and yes, probably something I'd wear to the office. Good morning to you too, Mom. Sophia looks absolutely radiant in her gown, she continued, not even acknowledging my greeting. A proper bride, you should see how she glows. The comparison wasn't new. For 32 years, I'd been the daughter who was too ambitious, too independent, too masculine in my choices. Sophia was the princess, sweet, traditional, everything our parents wanted in a daughter. Madison, can you check the seating arrangements? Dad called out. But don't reorganize everything like you always do. I bit my tongue. The seating chart was a disaster, with divorced couples placed together and business rivals at the same table. But pointing that out would just make me the difficult one again. What they didn't know, what I'd never told them, was that I wasn't just some middle manager at a random company. I was vice president of development at Hayes Capital, overseeing our entire Asia-Pacific expansion. But in this family, that achievement would somehow become another failing. Too career-focused, too independent, too much like the son they never had. Of course, Dad, I said, keeping my voice level. I'll make sure everything's perfect for Sophia. Family comes first, Madison, Dad said, appearing beside me as I adjusted a crooked centerpiece. You'll understand that when you have your own family. If you ever settle down, that is. The jab was subtle but clear. At 32, my unmarried status was apparently a bigger failure than any professional success could overcome. Richard, leave her alone, Aunt Patricia said, though her tone suggested amusement rather than defense. Not everyone can be as lucky as Sophia, finding true love so young. I focused on the centerpiece, letting their words wash over me. Around us, relatives whispered their own assessments. Still no ring on Madison's finger? All that time in the city, you'd think she'd have met someone. Poor Carol, at least she has Sophia giving her grandchildren soon. My cousin Derek smirked from across the room. Hey, Madison, maybe if you spent less time in boardrooms and more time in normal rooms, you'd have a +1 today. The laughter rippled through our relatives. I wanted to tell them about the 3 men I'd dated this year who couldn't handle dating someone more successful than them. I wanted to mention that being single was a choice, not a failure. But what was the point? She's just very particular, Mom explained to anyone listening. Always has been. Too picky for her own good. I straightened another centerpiece, my hands steady despite the familiar sting of their dismissal. They had no idea who I really was, and maybe that was for the best. So, Madison, Aunt Sally chirped during the pre-ceremony mingling, how's that little apartment of yours in the city? Must be cozy. It's a penthouse, actually, I corrected quietly. The group around us burst into laughter. Sally wiped tears from her eyes. A penthouse? Oh, Madison, you and your big city dreams. She likes to exaggerate, Sophia chimed in, gliding over in her wedding dress. Last year she said she was buying a Tesla. Can you imagine? I did buy a Tesla. It was parked outside, but I just smiled. Madison's always been ambitious, Mom said, in that tone that made ambition sound like a character flaw. Too ambitious, really. There's nothing wrong with a modest apartment, Uncle Tom added patronizingly. Not everyone can afford luxury. No shame in that, kiddo. My phone buzzed with a notification from my building's concierge about tomorrow's delivery to my 4,500 square foot penthouse on the 45th floor. The one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. The one I'd paid for in cash after closing the Singapore deal. I could have shown them the photos. Could have pulled up the virtual tour I had saved. Could have mentioned the feature in Architectural Digest last month. But what would that prove? That I needed their validation? You're right, Uncle Tom, I said instead. There's no shame in living within your means. Sophia laughed, that tinkling sound she'd perfected. See? Madison's learning to be more realistic. Finally. The irony was almost poetic. Standing alone by the window, I watched the city skyline where my penthouse towered above everything else. 10 years. That's how long it had taken to build my career from entry-level analyst to VP. 10 years of 80-hour weeks, red-eye flights, and deals that made headlines in the Financial Times. That penthouse wasn't just property, it was proof. Proof that the girl they dismissed had made it. Proof that I didn't need their approval or their money or their connections. Every square foot was paid for with my own success. If I gave it to Sophia, just handed over the keys like some party favor, what would that make me? The perpetual backup plan? The family ATM who existed only to supplement their golden child's happiness? I thought about the nights I'd fallen asleep at my desk, working on proposals that would eventually net millions for the company. The promotions I'd earned while they were planning Sophia's engagement parties. The respect I commanded in boardrooms across 3 continents. None of that mattered here. To them, I was just Madison. Too masculine, too career-focused, too difficult. And if I gave in now, if I surrendered the one thing that symbolized my independence, I'd be confirming everything they believed about my place in this family. My phone screen lit up with a photo from my assistant. The view from my penthouse this morning, sun rising over the city, golden light flooding through those massive windows. She'd added a caption, "Your sanctuary awaits your return, boss." Sanctuary. That's exactly what it was. The one place where I wasn't someone's disappointing daughter or overshadowed sister, where I was simply Madison Hayes, the woman who'd built something extraordinary entirely on her own. I couldn't give that up, not even for family peace. Our Sophia, I heard Mom telling a group of guests, her voice carrying across the ballroom. She's everything a mother could want, so graceful, so caring. Did you know she volunteers at the Children's Hospital? And now she'll be such a wonderful wife. The guests cooed appropriately. Mom stood there, glowing with pride, listing Sophia's accomplishments, her teaching degree, her perfect engagement, her charity work. Not once did my name cross her lips. I'd transferred $50,000 to their account 3 months ago when Dad mentioned the wedding was getting expensive. I'd used my connections to get Sophia's wedding featured in the city's most prestigious bridal magazine. I'd even arranged for their honeymoon suite upgrade through my hotel points. Invisible. That's what I was. The family ghost who materialized only when they needed something. Such a beautiful family, someone said. You must be so proud of your daughter. Oh, we are, Dad replied, his arm around Mom. Sophia's made us so happy. Daughter, singular, as if they only had one. I turned away, but then I heard it. Dad's voice, lowered but not enough. After the toast, he whispered to Mom, we'll make the announcement about the penthouse. You're sure Madison will agree? Mom whispered back. She won't have a choice. Not in front of everyone. She's too proud to make a scene at her sister's wedding. My blood chilled. They'd planned this. It wasn't a spontaneous gesture of generosity. It was an ambush, designed to corner me using social pressure and familial obligation. Besides, Mom added, what does she need a penthouse for? It's not like she has a family to fill it. The casual cruelty of it knocked the breath from my lungs, but it also crystallized something. I wasn't going to play their game. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, like your achievements don't matter unless they fit someone else's narrative, type "I see you" in the comments below. I see you, and your success matters, even if they don't acknowledge it. What's coming next is the moment everything changed, when private family dynamics exploded into public humiliation. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories about setting boundaries and choosing self-respect over family approval. Also, let me know where you're watching from. I love connecting with people who understand that sometimes the hardest battles are with the people who should support us most. The reception was in full swing when Dad stood up, tapping his champagne glass with a spoon. The band stopped playing. 200 guests turned their attention to him. Before we continue celebrating, he began, his voice booming through the microphone, Carol and I want to give Sophia and Brian something special. My stomach dropped. They were really doing this. As you all know, family means everything to us, Dad continued, smiling at the crowd. And there's nothing we wouldn't do for our children's happiness. Children's, plural. But his eyes were fixed on Sophia. That's why we're thrilled to announce that Madison has graciously agreed to give Sophia her city penthouse as a wedding gift. The room erupted in applause. Sophia pressed her hands to her chest and practiced surprise, though the slight smile playing at her lips told me she'd known all along. Brian wrapped his arm around her, grinning. "Oh my God, Madison," Sophia gushed into her own microphone. "Are you serious? The penthouse?" Every eye in the room turned to me. I stood frozen, champagne glass in hand, my mind racing. They'd orchestrated this perfectly. The announcement, Sophia's response, the public setting that made refusal seem monstrous. "Madison, come up here," Dad called out, waving me forward. "Let's have the whole family together for this special moment." The applause continued. People were smiling, nodding, some even wiping away tears at this beautiful gesture. I saw my boss's wife at table 12, 3 major clients at table 8. My entire professional network scattered throughout the room, all watching me, all expecting me to smile and play the generous sister. This wasn't just an ambush. It was a calculated assassination of my autonomy. I set down my champagne glass and stood slowly. The room fell silent, waiting. "I'm sorry, what?" My voice carried clearly without the microphone. Dad's smile faltered slightly. "Your penthouse, sweetheart, for Sophia and Brian." "This wasn't discussed with me," I said, keeping my tone level and professional. A ripple of whispers crossed the room. Dad's face reddened. "Don't be selfish on your sister's day," he said, still holding the microphone, ensuring everyone heard his words. "Dad, this is inappropriate. We can discuss this privately." "There's nothing to discuss." Mom grabbed the microphone from Dad. "It's a wedding gift, from the family." "It's my property," I stated simply. "And I haven't agreed to anything." The whispers grew louder. I heard fragments. How could she? On her sister's wedding day? So selfish. Sophia's eyes welled with perfectly timed tears. "Madison, I thought you'd want me to be happy." "Your happiness doesn't require my home, Sophia." "It's just a property," Dad boomed. "You can buy another one." "Then you buy her one," I replied. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. Someone at table 3 actually clutched their pearls. The wedding photographer kept shooting, his camera clicking rapidly. "Madison, please," Brian interjected, trying to play peacemaker. "We'd take such good care of it." "I'm sure you would, but the penthouse is not available." Mom's face had turned an alarming shade of purple. Dad looked like he might have a stroke. And Sophia? Sophia's mask of sweetness was cracking. revealing something uglier underneath. "Come on, Madison," Aunt Sally called out. "It's family." "You don't even have a family to fill it," Uncle Tom added. "Sophia needs it more." "She's getting married, starting a life," someone else chimed in. "What do you need all that space for?" The pressure mounted from every direction. Each comment another stone added to the wall they were building around me. "Be reasonable," my cousin Derek shouted. "Stop being so difficult." "It's not like you can't afford another place," Aunt Patricia added, "with your big important job." The sarcasm in her voice was unmistakable. They still didn't believe I was successful. Even now they thought the penthouse was some kind of fluke or exaggeration. "That's generous of you to assume," I said, my voice steady despite the hurricane inside me. "But my financial situation isn't up for public discussion." "Everything's about money with you," Mom spat into the microphone. "Your sister's happiness should matter more than property. If Sophia's happiness depends on taking what's mine, perhaps we should examine that." More gasps. Someone at the back actually booed. The photographer was still shooting, his flash creating a strobe effect across the scene. Through it all, I kept my hands steady at my sides. No trembling, no tears. I'd negotiated with CEOs who ate junior executives for breakfast. I'd stood my ground in boardrooms where millions were at stake. I wasn't going to crumble now, not in front of people who'd diminished me my entire life. "The penthouse is not available," I repeated, each word clear and final. My phone vibrated insistently in my clutch. I pulled it out, needing a moment's distraction from the hostile stares. 3 missed calls from MC and a text that made my pulse quicken. "Saw the livestream, on standby." Livestream? I glanced around and spotted Brian's younger brother, phone propped up on table 6, streaming the entire reception to Facebook Live. The red live indicator blinked mockingly. How many people were watching this disaster unfold in real time? Another text from MC. "Your call, say the word." Marcus Chen. My mentor, my boss, and coincidentally, the man who owned 40% of my father's company, though Dad had no idea his silent partner and his daughter's CEO were the same person. We'd kept that information compartmentalized for exactly this kind of situation. "Madison, put the phone away," Mom snapped. "This is family time." "Apparently, it's also public entertainment," I said, nodding toward the live stream setup. "Your son-in-law's family is broadcasting this to the internet." Brian's brother quickly grabbed his phone, but the damage was done. Who knew how many people had already seen my parents trying to publicly coerce me into surrendering my home? "Wait for my signal," I texted back to Marcus, then slipped my phone back into my clutch. "So dramatic," Sophia sighed into the microphone, playing the victim perfectly. "All this fuss over a piece of property, I thought my sister loved me enough to want to help start my marriage off right." The crowd ate it up. Poor Sophia, rejected by her cold, selfish sister. But I noticed something. Dad kept checking his phone too, his face growing paler with each glance. The live stream had consequences he hadn't anticipated. "Your wedding is trending, by the way," I told Sophia quietly. "Congratulations." Standing there, surrounded by judgment, a memory surfaced from 6 months ago. Marcus had insisted on adding an unusual clause to my penthouse purchase agreement. "Trust me," he'd said, reviewing the papers. "You want protection against third-party interference, especially coercion from family members." I'd laughed it off then. My family was difficult, not dangerous. But Marcus, who'd built an empire from nothing, knew better. "If anyone tries to force you to transfer ownership under duress," he'd explained, "this clause activates. The company retains right of first refusal and can intervene to protect the asset and you." The penthouse had originally been a corporate property, transferred to me as part of my compensation package. The paper trail was impeccable, the ownership legitimate. But that clause 15.3, I remembered, gave Hayes Capital legal standing to intervene if someone tried to force me to surrender it. It wasn't just about property law. It was about protecting executives from exactly this kind of manipulation. Marcus had seen too many successful women pressured into giving up their assets to family members who felt entitled to their success. Madison's always been stubborn, Dad was saying to the crowd, trying to salvage the situation. But family comes first. She knows that. Family doesn't ambush each other, I said quietly, but my voice carried. The room went silent again. Even the waitstaff had stopped moving, trays balanced in their hands, watching this train wreck unfold. I thought about the documents sitting in Marcus's office safe. The ones that detailed not just the penthouse ownership, but the entire financial structure of Hayes Capital. The ones that would be very interesting to my father if he knew his daughter was essentially his business partner's right hand. Thank God for that clause Marcus insisted on. Mom descended from the head table like an avenging angel, her beaded gown catching the light as she stormed across the dance floor. She still clutched the microphone, her knuckles white around it. Madison Hayes, her voice boomed through the speakers, you will not ruin this day. You will not embarrass this family. I'm not the one creating a scene, Mother. We raised you better than this. She was 3 feet away now, close enough that I could see the vein throbbing in her temple. We gave you everything. You gave Sophia everything, I corrected. I earned what I have. You ungrateful. She caught herself, remembering the audience. Then, with forced sweetness that fooled no one, Sweetheart, just give your sister the keys. It's such a small thing. No. The word hung between us like a challenge. Mom's face cycled through emotions: disbelief, rage, humiliation. The entire ballroom held its breath. You will do this, she hissed, momentarily lowering the microphone. Or so help me. Or what? I asked, genuinely curious what threat she thought would work. She raised the microphone again. Everyone. My daughter seems to have forgotten what family means. Perhaps you can help remind her. The crowd stirred uncomfortably. Some people called out support for Sophia, but others had gone quiet, sensing this had crossed a line. Give your sister the keys. Mom's voice had dropped to a dangerous whisper that the microphone still caught. Now. No. You selfish, ungrateful girl. The words exploded from her. After everything we've done, everything we've sacrificed, you can't do this one thing? You're a disgrace to this family. She was close enough now that I could smell her perfume. The same suffocating floral scent from my childhood. Close enough to see years of resentment burning in her eyes. The slap came without warning. Mom's hand connected with my cheek with such force that my head snapped to the side. The crack echoed through the ballroom's perfect acoustics, amplified by the microphone she still held. My diamond earring, a gift to myself after closing the Singapore deal, flew off, arcing through the air in what seemed like slow motion before hitting the marble floor with a delicate ping. 200 guests gasped in unison. Then silence. Complete, absolute silence. The kind that makes your ears ring. The kind that makes every heartbeat sound like thunder. I stood perfectly still, my cheek burning, feeling the heat spread across my face. The photographer's camera had stopped clicking. The waitstaff stood frozen. Even the children at table 15 had gone quiet. Mom's hand remained suspended in the air, as if she couldn't quite believe what she'd done. The microphone in her other hand picked up her ragged breathing. I could see everything reflected in the mirrored walls. My reddening cheek, Mom's shocked face, Dad half standing from his chair. Sophia with her hands pressed to her mouth in what might have been genuine surprise. Brian's brother had his phone up again, capturing everything. The earring lay on the white marble, its diamonds catching the chandelier light, maybe 10 feet away. Such a small thing, but somehow it felt like the most important object in the room. I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even bring my hand to my burning cheek. I just stood there, letting the silence say everything that needed to be said. Slowly, deliberately, I walked to where my earring lay on the marble floor. My heels clicked in the silence, each step echoing through the ballroom. I bent down, picked up the earring, and carefully put it back on. The simple action took maybe 30 seconds. It felt like 30 years. I straightened, smoothed my dress, and looked directly at my mother. She'd lowered her hand, but still gripped the microphone, her face a mixture of defiance and dawning horror. "Excuse me," I said, my voice perfectly steady. Then I turned to the head table. "Congratulations, Sophia. I hope your marriage brings you joy." I picked up my clutch from my table and walked toward the exit. Not rushing, not running, just walking with the same measured pace I used when leaving board meetings. "Madison!" Dad called out. "Madison, wait!" I didn't stop, didn't turn around. Behind me, the ballroom erupted in chaos. Voices rising, chairs scraping, someone crying. But I kept walking. The moment I cleared the ballroom doors, I pulled out my phone and hit Marcus's number. He answered on the first ring. "Madison?" "Green light," I said simply. "Understood. How long do I have?" "Give me 45 minutes to get home." "Are you okay?" I touched my still burning cheek. "Execute the contingency, Marcus. Already mobilizing the legal team." "Madison." "Yes, now." I meant, are you hurt?" "Nothing that won't heal," I said, entering the elevator. "But Marcus, make sure you bring the shareholder agreement, the one Dad never actually read." "With pleasure." I ended the call as the elevator doors closed, leaving my family's chaos behind. That moment, the slap heard by 200 people, did it make your blood boil? I know what it's like to be humiliated by the people who should protect you. But sometimes the best response isn't anger, it's strategic action. What comes next will show you why you should never underestimate someone you've pushed too far. If you believe in standing up for yourself, hit that like button. If you've ever had to set a hard boundary with family, type boundaries in the comments. The next part is where everything shifts, where the invisible daughter becomes the one holding all the cards. 45 minutes later, I was in my penthouse, ice pack against my cheek, when my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Entering the building now. I'd changed into jeans and a soft sweater. Armor wasn't needed anymore. The battle was already won. They just didn't know it yet. My phone lit up with notifications. Brian's brother's live stream had been shared over 500 times. The slap was already a gif. But I didn't care about internet fame. I cared about what was happening in that ballroom right now. Marcus texted again. Walking in, Richard just saw me. I could picture it perfectly. Marcus Chen, in his $10,000 Armani suit, walking into that ballroom with his signature confidence. 2 lawyers flanking him, briefcases in hand. The same Marcus Chen whose name appeared in Forbes. The same one my father had been desperately trying to schedule a meeting with for 6 months. Another text. His face just went white. Then, "Your mother is screaming." I walked to my floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere down there, in that grand ballroom, my family was learning a lesson about consequences. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Madison?" It was Brian's brother, whispering. "You need to see this. Your dad looks like he's about to pass out. This Chinese guy in a suit just said your name and something about partnership agreements. Your mom literally screamed when she saw him. Who is this guy?" "Someone who believes in protecting his investments," I said. "Your dad keeps saying Mr. Chen over and over. Is this the Chen, the one who owns—" "I have to go," I said, ending the call. The city sparkled below, peaceful and oblivious. But in that ballroom, an empire was shifting. My phone rang again. This time it was Marcus. "You're on speaker," he said. "I'm here with your parents and their guests." I could hear the ballroom's stunned silence in the background. "Richard?" Marcus's voice carried that CEO authority that made board members squirm. "I need to clarify something for everyone present. Madison Hayes is not just some employee at my company. She's our Vice President of Development, managing our entire Asia-Pacific expansion." I heard collective gasps through the phone. "That's impossible," My father's voice, weak and confused. The Singapore deal that netted us 40 million? Madison led that. The Tokyo office that's now our most profitable branch? Madison built that from the ground up. The partnership with Samsung that your company desperately wanted a piece of? Madison negotiated every detail. You're lying, Mom's voice, shrill and desperate. Mrs. Hayes, your daughter is one of the most valuable executives in this city. The penthouse you tried to take, it was part of her executive compensation package. A package that I should mention includes certain protections. What protections? Dad asked. The ones that activate when someone attempts to coerce her into surrendering corporate assets, which, according to the live stream that's now been viewed 20,000 times, is exactly what happened here tonight. 20,000 in less than an hour. Furthermore, Marcus continued, as someone who owns 40% of your company, Richard, I'm deeply concerned about the judgment you've displayed tonight. Publicly attempting to steal from your own daughter? Allowing your wife to assault her? This raises serious questions about your leadership. You can't. This is family business, Dad sputtered. The moment you made it public, you made it my business. Madison, are you still there? I'm here, I said clearly. Would you like to press charges for assault? The ballroom held its breath. Let me explain something, Marcus's voice continued through the speaker. That live stream shows clear assault and attempted coercion. This triggers Clause 15.3 of our shareholder agreement, Richard, the one about moral turpitude and conduct unbecoming of leadership. What are you talking about? Dad's voice cracked. Page 47 of the agreement you signed 5 years ago. I can call an emergency board meeting within 24 hours. Given that I control 40% and the Jensen Trust controls another 15, they're very interested in this situation, by the way. You do the math. I could hear papers rustling. Marcus was laying out documents on the head table. This is extortion, Mom shrieked. No, Mrs. Hayes, extortion was demanding your daughter's property in front of 200 witnesses. This is consequence management. Madison, Dad's voice came through, pleading now. Tell him to stop. This is going too far. Too far? I finally spoke. Like slapping your daughter at a wedding wasn't too far? You can't destroy our family business over this. I'm not destroying anything, I said calmly. I'm protecting my assets and my dignity. Marcus is protecting his investment. If your behavior threatens that investment, that's on you. The video is everywhere, someone whispered in the background. It's on Twitter, Facebook, the local news picked it up. Here's what's going to happen, Marcus announced. Richard, you have 48 hours to issue a public apology to Madison. A real one, not some PR nonsense. You'll acknowledge her professional achievements and her right to her own property. Carol, you'll do the same, and you'll stay away from Madison permanently. Or what? Mom demanded. Or I exercise my options as a major shareholder. Your company needs my capital for the expansion project. Without it, you're looking at bankruptcy within 6 months. This is my daughter's wedding! Mom's voice had reached hysteria. You can't do this here! You're right, Marcus said smoothly. This isn't the time or place, which is why I'm giving you 48 hours to make this right. Madison's penthouse remains hers, untouched, uncontested. Any attempt to manipulate, guilt, or coerce her will result in immediate legal action. She's our daughter, Dad protested. Then treat her like one, Marcus shot back. Not like an ATM or a resource to be pillaged for your favorite child. I heard Sophia sob dramatically. This is supposed to be my special day. It still is, Marcus replied. I'm leaving now. But these documents stay with you, Richard. Read them, understand them, and remember, Madison isn't alone. She has the full weight of Hayes Capital behind her. Madison, Sophia's voice came through, trembling with tears. How could you do this to me? I didn't do anything to you, Sophia. I simply refused to give you my home. Everything else, the public announcement, the pressure, the slap, that was Mom and Dad's choice. But the penthouse is mine, bought with my money, earned through my work. If you want a penthouse, I suggest you earn one. You're so cruel. No, I'm just done being your family's sacrifice. I heard movement, chairs scraping, people murmuring. Then Marcus's voice, closer to the phone now. Madison, the papers are served. Your parents know their options. The ball is in their court. Thank you, Marcus. I'm sorry it came to this. So am I. The wedding photographer got everything, by the way. He's already sent us the high-resolution shots just in case we need them for legal purposes. Dad's groan was audible through the phone. 48 hours, Richard, Marcus said one final time. Public apology or I call the board. Madison, I'll see you Monday. The line went dead. I stood in my penthouse, looking out at the city, finally able to breathe. My cheek still stung, but something else had lifted. 32 years of weight I hadn't realized I'd been carrying. Within 2 hours, my phone was exploding with messages. The video had gone beyond viral. It was everywhere. Entitled Parents Demand Daughter's $2 penthouse at wedding was trending on 3 platforms. Sophia called 15 times. I didn't answer. Mom texted, "You've ruined everything. Your sister's wedding is destroyed. Guests are leaving. Are you happy now?" Dad's message was different. "We need to talk, please." But the most interesting messages came from unexpected sources. 3 of Dad's biggest clients had seen the video. "Richard, I'm concerned about what I just witnessed. We need to discuss our contract. Jim Patterson, Patterson Industries. This is deeply troubling behavior. My wife is insisting we reconsider our partnership. David Kim, Kim Electronics. I don't do business with people who hit their children. Contract terminated. Sarah Williams, Williams Logistics. That last one was a $3 million annual contract. Gone. Brian's family group chat, which I'd been added to months ago, was in chaos. His mother, "We're leaving. This is disgraceful." His father, "The wedding is off until we understand what kind of family we're joining." The wedding was falling apart, and I wasn't even there. Marcus texted privately, "Your father just called. He's panicking about the clients. 3 more have reached out with concerns." Then, the most satisfying message of all, from someone who'd recorded everything. "Your mom fainted when she realized the CEO of Hayes Capital was your boss. Like, actually fainted. They had to call paramedics." I poured myself a glass of wine from the bottle I'd been saving for a special occasion. If standing up for myself wasn't special, what was? My assistant texted, "Boss, you're trending. Also, 5 headhunters have already called asking if you're looking for new opportunities. Apparently, standing up to toxic family is very in right now." I laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in days. By Monday morning, the business community had chosen sides, and it wasn't even close. The video had been shared in every major business network in the city. The narrative was clear. Successful daughter refuses to be bullied by entitled parents. CEO steps in to protect valuable executive from family exploitation. Dad's company lost 6 contracts in total. The expansion he'd been planning for 2 years was dead in the water. Without Marcus's capital and with the client exodus, he'd have to downsize. Sophia's honeymoon to Bali was canceled. Not by her, by Brian's family. They wanted to reassess the relationship dynamics before moving forward. The wedding gifts were being returned, but the most unexpected consequence came from my own company. Marcus called me into his office Monday afternoon. "The board wants to promote you," he said without preamble. "Senior VP of Global Operations. The Asia-Pacific success, combined with how you handled the situation, they're impressed." I got slapped at a wedding. That impressed them? You stood your ground against massive social pressure. You protected company assets. You maintained composure under extreme duress. That's exactly the kind of leadership we need. And the fact that you had to intervene shows you know when to leverage your resources. Madison, I've seen a lot of executives crumble under family pressure. You didn't just stand firm, you won. The promotion came with a 40% raise and stock options, enough to buy another penthouse if I wanted. Not that I needed another one. The one I had was perfect, a symbol of everything I'd achieved without my family's help or approval. I donated the raise bonus to a women's shelter that helped abused victims leave toxic situations. It felt like the right thing to do. Dad's public apology came exactly 47 hours after Marcus's ultimatum. It was stiff, clearly written by lawyers, but it did the job. I apologized to my daughter Madison for my inappropriate behavior at the recent family event. I acknowledge her professional achievements and her right to her own property. This matter is now closed. Mom refused to apologize. She went on a social media rant instead, calling me ungrateful, selfish, and corrupted by corporate culture. The rant was screenshot and shared thousands of times, usually with comments like, "I see where the problem started," and "narcissist mother spotted." Sophia texted me a week later. "You ruined my life. Brian's family is making us go to counseling before they'll agree to the marriage. They think my family is toxic." "They're not wrong," I replied. "I hate you." "I know." The extended family split into camps. Some sided with my parents, saying family should come first. Others reached out privately, sharing their own stories of being the scapegoat, the ATM, the one who was never good enough. Cousin Derek messaged, "I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't know they treated you like that all the time." Aunt Patricia, "Your mother is my sister, but she was wrong. I'm proud of you for standing up." But the most surprising message came from Brian. "I didn't know about the penthouse ambush. I would have stopped it. Sophia needs to grow up, and maybe this is the wake-up call she needs. I'm sorry about your mom hitting you. That was assault, plain and simple." At least someone in that family had sense. I changed the locks on my penthouse the next day. Building security was given a list of people who were permanently banned from the property. My parents' names were at the top. The doorman, James, who'd known me for 3 years, pulled me aside. "Ms. Hayes, I saw the video. Good for you. My daughter went through something similar. Family isn't always family, you know?" I knew. I blocked my immediate family on all social media platforms. No dramatic announcement, no explanation, just quiet removal of their access to my life. My work became my focus. The promotion meant managing teams across 12 countries. I threw myself into it, building something meaningful without the weight of family expectations. Marcus became more than a boss. He became the mentor my father never was. "You know," he said over coffee one morning, "the best revenge is a life well lived without them." 3 months later, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of Sophia's wedding gift, the one I'd sent after everything calmed down. A certificate for 6 months of family therapy sessions. "This is insulting," the message read. "It's necessary," I replied, then blocked that number too. My penthouse became what it was always meant to be, a sanctuary, a place where no one could demand, belittle, or diminish me. The floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the city reminded me daily that I'd built something they couldn't take away. Not for lack of trying, though. 6 months later, the dust had settled into a new reality. I was thriving. The senior VP position had led to a feature in Forbes, 40 Under 40. The article mentioned nothing about the wedding incident, focusing instead on my innovative approaches to Asian market expansion. Dad's company had stabilized but never recovered its previous standing. He'd aged 10 years in 6 months. Through mutual business contacts, I heard he'd started therapy. Too little, too late, but at least it was something. Mom doubled down on her victim narrative, telling anyone who'd listen about her ungrateful daughter who chose money over family. Most people had seen the video. They knew better. Sophia's marriage to Brian lasted exactly 4 months. The counseling had revealed deeper issues: entitlement, inability to take responsibility, expecting others to provide for her. Brian's family had been right to be concerned. The divorce was quiet but final. She texted me once. "I hope you're happy. You got what you wanted." "I got what I earned," I replied. "There's a difference." The family I found at Hayes Capital became my real family. We celebrated wins together, supported each other through challenges, and never once did anyone demand I sacrifice my success for their comfort. Marcus and his wife invited me to their family dinners. His daughters, both in college, looked up to me. "You're proof we don't have to shrink ourselves for anyone," the older one said. That was worth more than any approval my birth family could have given. So here's what I learned from that disaster of a wedding. Blood doesn't make you family, respect does. Success isn't something you owe to people who never supported your journey. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say to toxic family is nothing at all. My penthouse remains mine. Every morning, I watch the sunrise through those floor-to-ceiling windows, coffee in hand, grateful for the peace I fought to protect. It's not just property, it's proof that I chose myself when everyone expected me to choose them. If you're struggling with family who demand more than they give, who take credit for successes they didn't support, who expect you to light yourself on fire to keep them warm, know this: your boundaries matter. Your success is yours. Your peace is worth more than their approval. You don't owe anyone your hard-earned achievements just because you share DNA. You don't have to accept disrespect in the name of family harmony. And you certainly don't have to tolerate abuse, whether it's physical like that slap or emotional like years of being treated as less than. The price of my freedom was high. I lost my birth family. But what I gained was worth it. Self-respect, genuine relationships, and a life built on my terms. Your story might be different, but the principle remains. You deserve to be celebrated, not tolerated. Choose people who choose you, not just when they need something, but always. What boundaries do you need to set today? Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever had to choose between family approval and self-respect, you're not alone. Comment "Boundaries matter" if you believe in protecting yourself from toxic family dynamics. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to choose yourself. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories about setting healthy boundaries and building chosen families. I'd love to know, are you Team Madison for standing my ground, or do you think family should always come first? Let me know in the comments. Remember, your peace is non-negotiable.